All right, good evening wherever you are joining us from on this 8th of May 2025. A lot has been going on across the country and also across the globe as the Catholic Church now invites their new pontiff, Pope Leo XIV, who takes over as the 267th pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church. At the same time, here within our borders in Kenya, we have a new nominee to head the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commissions. These and more reports in tonight's broadcast. But first, let's get an official invite into the program. All right, my name is Emmanuel Kutosi, and joining me in the sign language interpretation is Sami Okelo. Remember, this broadcast is also coming to you live on YouTube at Kutv News Kenya. And you can also be able to link up with us through our social media handles at Kutv Kenya on Facebook, Kutv_Kenya on the X platform, and you can reach out to me at _Emmanuel Kutosi. The Thursday night edition of the Primetime News on Kutv begins now. Now, President William Ruto has nominated Erastus Edang Ethekon from Turkana County as the next chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Alongside him, 6 individuals have been nominated to serve as IEBC commissioners, with their names formally submitted to the National Assembly for vetting. Now, in a statement, the president noted that the nominations were made in line with the IEBC Act and the Public Appointments Act. The 6 nominees for the commissioner positions are Anne Njeri Nderitu, Moses Atutala Mukhwana, Mary Karen Sorobit, Hassan Nur, Francis Odhiambo Oduol, and Fatma Arapat Abdallah. The nominations follow recommendations by the IEBC selection panel chaired by Dr. Nelson Makanda, which had forwarded the 2 names for the chairperson role and 9 commissioner slots. The president selected 7 from the list, finalizing the team that now awaits parliamentary approval. And in another space, President William Ruto has today assented to 2 Senate bills in State House, Nairobi: the Persons with Disabilities Bill of 2023 and the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill of 2025. Both bills were passed following an agreement between Senate and the National Assembly. The Disabilities Bill, sponsored by Senator Crystal Asige, is expected to advance the rights and inclusion of persons with disabilities, introducing 2 provisions such as tax incentives for employers and deductions for businesses that make workplace adjustments to accommodate disability needs.
President William Ruto has officially signed the Persons with Disabilities Bill 2023 and the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill of 2025 at State House, Nairobi today, attended by Senate officials and disability rights advocates.
It has been my singular honor and duty this morning to sign into law the Persons Living with Disability Bill 2025.
The bill introduces comprehensive measures to promote the rights and inclusion of people with disabilities, PWDs, including financial incentives such as tax breaks for employers and deductions for workplace modifications. It mandates penalties for rights violations, enhances protections against abuse, and empowers the National Council for People with Disabilities to enforce and coordinate disability-related policies. Both national and county governments are tasked with implementing disability policies, reserving 5% of county jobs and market stalls for PWDs, and performing advisory committees.
This framework provides a robust, inclusive framework that provides all the necessary incentives, necessary safeguards to make sure people living with disabilities live their full lives as the rest of society.
In education, the bill guarantees inclusive learning environments that include accommodations tailored to the needs of the students with disabilities. It mandates safeguards in the delivery of healthcare to people with disabilities, as well as free medical rehabilitation services. The head of state announced the reinstatement of the Disability Mainstreaming Performance Indicator in public service performance contracts, which will ensure that inclusivity is measurable and enforceable across governmental institutions.
As part of our efforts to strengthen disability inclusion in the public sector, I direct the Public Service Performance Management Unit of the Public Service Commission to reinstate the Disability Mainstreaming Performance Indicators in performance contracting.
Elimelech Modori, KUTV.
Now, in the latest development regarding the death and ongoing investigation into the killing of Kasipul Member of Parliament Charles Odongowere, 3 suspects were today arraigned in court in connection with the murder. Meanwhile, the body of the slain legislator arrived at Kapunde airstrip, where residents gathered to view the body and ahead of his burial scheduled for later tomorrow.
Investigative efforts by the National Police Service into the murder of the late Kasipul Member of Parliament Charles Were have now confirmed the recovery of the gun used in the heinous act. According to a statement by the Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, following ballistic investigations, the gun, that is a Sazil Maz pistol recovered at the residence of one of the suspects, was used in the fatal shooting that led to the death. With ongoing investigations, the police have apprehended a total of 10 suspects linked to the murder, among them being Were's driver and his bodyguard, who officials say gave contrasting accounts of the events on the fateful night. A board member of the government parastatal and 2 other suspects arrested yesterday. Edwin Odworo Dhiambo and Dennis Sewe Munyasi were arrested following preliminary investigations that led the DCI to them. It was during the arrest that the police recovered a Sazil Maz and 9 rounds of 9mm caliber ammunition were found in the house of Edwin Odhiambo. As these unfold, preparations to lay the slain legislator draw to the final send-off. Earlier today, the body was transported from Nairobi to Homa Bay, where it was received by several leaders, including Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga and the Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma, along with residents who came to mourn. Were will be laid to rest at his rural home tomorrow. Yvonne Kemuma, KUTV.
The United States government has reaffirmed its support for Kenya in the multinational security support mission in Haiti after Kenya's Prime Cabinet Secretary and Minister of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Musalia Mudavadi met with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, D.C. to strengthen diplomatic and business relations between Kenya and the U.S. Secretary Rubio emphasized that the United States supports peace efforts in Africa and reiterated the U.S.'s assistance to Kenya's mission in Haiti.
The United States government has reaffirmed its support to Kenya's leadership in the multinational security support mission in Haiti. This comes after Prime Cabinet Secretary and Minister of Foreign Affairs Musalia Mudavadi met with the U.S. Secretary of State Senator Marco Rubio in Washington to discuss diplomatic and business cooperation between Kenya and the United States. The meeting focused on key and international security issues, including briefing the United States government on the ongoing EAC and SADC-led peace efforts in the DRC, highlighting the importance of both nations strengthening their business ties by emphasizing the need to fast-track the Kenya-US Free Trade Agreement. Despite the U.S. withdrawing from the Trust Fund for Aid earlier, Mudavadi noted that the U.S. expressed a desire to engage with Kenya's effort in the multinational security support mission in Haiti. In his statement following the meeting with the U.S. Senator Rubio, Mudavadi quoted, Senator Rubio expressed the United States' commitment to support Kenya's leadership in addressing emerging regional security threats and promoting democratic governance across the continent and the Kenya-led multinational security support mission in Haiti.
Thank you so much. Mr. Secretary, the U.S. negotiated between India and Pakistan.
This comes less than a year after more than 700 Kenyan police officers were deployed to Haiti for a peacekeeping operation. One police officer among those sent to Haiti was reported dead in March this year, while another went missing and his body is yet to be found. While Mudavadi emphasized the intention of the U.S. Senator Marco Rubio to visit Kenya soon to further strengthen ties between the two nations, this meeting marks an important step in enhancing the long-term cooperation between Kenya and the United States of America. Blue Smile Hassan, Kutv.
A group of grassroots UDA supporters has expressed their dissatisfaction by walking out of a press briefing held in Embu. The disgruntled supporters accused the party of neglecting development projects in the region, despite their role in helping President William Ruto's administration rise to power. The grassroots leaders now say they have disassociated themselves from the UDA party and are waiting to announce their next political move.
Chaos erupted in Embu yesterday after grassroots leaders in the county declared they had lost faith in the UDA party, accusing it of failing them both politically and in matters of development.
The people that we were fighting for cannot even take our cause. If we were to tell them that we have a meeting here to discuss the challenges of the party in Embu, they would send goons to come and chase us away. We spent our resources, financial and otherwise, moving around this county to sustain that, number one. Today, we are still crying of the resources that we lost. And being cognizant of the fact that we are the people who confuse the populace of Embu people to vote for this government. We feel that we no longer want to be associated with a system that has failed our people in terms of service and delivery.
We wish to register our disappointment to the UDA party for giving a deaf ear despite working for to build the party from scratch, from the grassroots. It is so unfortunate that despite all the work done, time used and resources used from the top officials to the grassroots.
The leaders expressed their fury, claiming they were instrumental in mobilizing support during campaigns and voter registration drives at the grassroots level, but have since been politically betrayed. They went on to brand the Kenya Kwanza administration as selfish government. The leaders further claimed that their attempts to engage UDA chairperson and Embu Governor Cecily Mbarire on matters of service delivery were ignored, accusing her of being inaccessible and disinterested in their concerns.
And being cognizant of the fact that we are the people who confuse the populace of Embu people to vote for this government. We feel that we no longer want to be associated with a system that has failed our people in terms of service and delivery.
Declaring what they termed a divorce from the UDA party and the Kenya Kwanza government, the leaders accused the regime of ignoring its loyal supporters and allegedly abducting youth aligned with their movement.
The leadership does not value us, does not remember the much we did for them, does not even remember our names now. Then we should go home.
And now perhaps the key story across the globe is that Cardinal Robert Francis Parvost from the United States has been elected as the 267th Pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church, taking the papal name of Pope Leo XIV at 69 Pope Leo XIV is the first American to ascend to the papacy and the first member of the Augustinian order to hold the position. In his inaugural address from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, he conveyed a message of peace, urging unity to the faithful and to move forward together, hand in hand with God. And the conclave's decision follows the passing of the Pope Francis last month, marking a new chapter in the Church's history. All right, and with that, we take our first break right here on the Thursday KUTV Primetime News Edition. We invite your comments and sentiments through our social media handles, particularly on the election of a new pope and also the nomination of the chairs of the IEBC Commission. Don't go too far.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of the KUTV Prime Time News. Now, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has lashed out at opposition leaders for what he calls premature politicking at the expense of national development. Speaking in Kirinyaga and later in Nyandarua County, the DP reaffirmed the government's commitment to improving the lives of grassroots empowerment, saying Kenya Kwanza is racing against its manifesto. During a meet with residents of Nyandarua County, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki had stern words for opposition leaders.
Nyoroshana wakati wa campaign. Saa hii ni wakati wa wera, sio wakati wa campaign.
He accused them of abandoning development in favor of early campaigns, saying the government would not be dragged into what he described as baseless politics.
Wa kuleta siasa ambaye ni siasa mpya hapa kwetu Central. Sisi tumekuwa watu werevu. Tunajua kila wakati kila kitu iko na majira yake.
Backed by the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, the DP emphasized the Kenya Kwanza government is focused on delivering its promises, not trading insults or engaging in distractions.
We don't have time. We are competing against the manifesto. Have no time for empty rhetoric and empty politics. Sisi tunataka tuzingatie yale mambo tuliwaambia.
Later in another meet in Mwea, Kirinyaga County, the Deputy President reinforced the government's commitment to uplifting small-scale traders under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
Wao tusiane, sisi hatuna na matusi. Wale wanataka marumbano kwa mazishi na wapi kwa harusi, hatuna shida. Wapigane kwa mazishi, wapigane kwa maharusi. Sisi tuzingatie mambo ya mwananchi wa kawaida.
Kindiki dismissed criticism of the empowerment programs, saying they are necessary for grassroots growth and national progress.
Wamesuffer for a long time. Wakati tutaconstitute IEBC, tafadhali naomba Your Excellency, tujaribu where ipate two constituencies.
Mabarabara zinakuanga kwa maeka. Tafadhali, najua bajeti iko kuu, lakini anzia na 2 wards only, moja ya east, ingine ya west, na next year ufanye ingine east na west. Na hivyo tukiendelea hivyo come 2027 utakuwa umemaliza, si ndio? Lakini kwa sasa hiyo barabara ni kama imekwama. Tafadhali tutumanieni iende ilimwe, ndio hao watu kwa siasa ikifika tutamenyana wakati wa kampeni na wakati wa siasa.
The Deputy President says it's all hands on deck for development and no time for distractions as he makes his runs across the central region. And moving on forward, the government has launched the National Social Health Authority registration drive for inmates, aiming to ensure universal coverage for all, including those behind bars. The exercise, which began at the Langate Women's Prison, includes national ID registration and will be rolled out in all prisons and probation centers across the country. It is expected that the government will fully cover the premiums through the State Department of Correction Services. So far, 8,000 inmates have been registered. Officials say the move is part of a broader plan to leave no one behind in access to healthcare. Present were Principal Secretary Dr. Ouma Olunga, among others. Now, legislators call for the strengthening of the internal audit department to combat corruption cases. Members of Parliament and certified public accountant Julius Ruto is advocating for the establishment of well-structured and independent internal audit departments across public institutions as key measures to combat corruption and prevent the misuse of public resources. Speaking on the sidelines of the 22nd Annual Internal Audit Seminar organized by the Institute of Internal Auditors, Kenya in Mombasa, Ruto affirms that the National Assembly is keen to develop a robust, sound legal framework to facilitate the minimization of wastage of public resources through amendment to the Audit Act. The move, he said, will not only curb the direct corruption in government institutions, but also address the wastage of time and resources.
Minimization of wastage. People don't even the direct corruption, because it's a very serious corruption that we're experiencing, especially in the government institutions. Wastage of time, wastage of resources, even the use of motor vehicles alone. Just find people unnecessarily moving around, spending fuel, But then the question sometimes is a challenge on how to specifically pick on those issues.
This year, we had the global internal audit standards that were issued that have placed a renewed focus on our excellence in terms of making sure that we are aware of our environment, we are embracing technology, we are also aware of the strategic objectives of the organizations so that we can give timely advice.
Now, in an era where false information spreads faster than facts, with the youths on the front line, vocal and ready to have civic engagements in digital platforms, the Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, in partnership with the Embassy of Finland, has stepped in to raise awareness and empower them on how to navigate in the digital space with the intent of not spreading false information. Ocheng Cynthia with more on this story.
As fake news continues to escalate in the digital platforms driven by the vocal youths, the need to raise awareness regarding the responsible use of digital democracy also arises. In a bid to attain that, the Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, KWECO, in collaboration with the Embassy of Finland under the Vijana to Chanuke project, has stepped in to create awareness and offer training to equip the youth with skills to navigate the digital space without breaking the law or spreading misinformation.
We are not only creating awareness on disinformation and misinformation as well as fake news, but also engaging different stakeholders from government, academia, media, and civil society on best ways on how to safeguard our freedom of expression and speech without falling victims of fake news.
Joshua Changwon, the CEO of KWECO, highlighted various strategies the KWECO organization has put in place to help reach out to the youths.
Conducting a fellowship of young people to undergo a 6 months training by facilitators who are well equipped with knowledge and skills on misinformation and disinformation. We use podcasts which we upload in social media for many people to get this message freely, engaging with experts, technology companies, government departments that are responsible in regulating information and communication.
Additionally, Joshua underscored that the Kenyatta University Television has played a significant role in reaching a larger youth audience, citing its benefits, contribution, and the active participation of students from the university in the organization's initiatives.
We've had participation from different universities, and Kenyatta University is one of the universities that have really given a lot of support, where we have quite a number of fellows drawn from Kenyatta University, as well as also essay writers. We had one of the students being awarded today from Kenyatta University, who did a very excellent essay.
Nonetheless, a call was made to the government alongside other organizations to collaborate in establishing legal frameworks and guidelines to regulate the use of social media platforms by the youth.
Concerted effort from stakeholders, the media, the civil society. We have the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology. The key recommendation was probably to take this a notch higher and even introduce digital democracy and digital learning as part of core curriculum activities that will be taught in the higher education.
One way we can do this is through cooperation, not just within our country, but with other countries as well, and the organizations that are in control of the social media. Social media platforms are not just limited to our country alone. They're limited not just to our jurisdiction, but to the other countries. So there's need to have international cooperation.
From a legal perspective, Esther Kago, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, outlined some of the key issues to look out for to avoid violations of the digital democracy, further urging the youth to have an understanding of the law.
When you're exercising your freedom, identify what can be a risk to you as an individual and what can be a risk to another individual.
As digital platforms become key tools for civic engagements, CRECO has stepped in to teach the youths on how they can navigate the spaces responsibly, promoting ethnic and impactful digital participation. Ochieng Cynthia, Kutv.
Thank you very much, Ochieng Cynthia, for that report that actually points out the importance, particularly of being keen, particularly the digital space, because it's a space that is new, but one that we are heading to within the political divide. We'll be going for a short break right now, but we'll be back with more just for you.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Baada ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili.
Bila woga, watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi. Hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
All right, we are landing safely into the sporting arena where Kenya's exit is confirmed after picking up only 1 point from 3 games despite scoring in all 3 matches. Despite already being eliminated before the kickoff, Kenya put a spirited performance and twice looked to take the lead, only to be pegged in each time by more experienced Nigerians. With the group stage now concluded, Morocco top Group B with 7 points, followed by Nigeria with 5 points, Tunisia with 3 points, and Kenya with a single point, who are going home. And Arsenal was shot back to the Emirates Stadium after a 2-1 defeat to PSG in the semi-final second leg. The Gunners went into the match 1-0 down after being edged out by the French side at the Emirates in the first game last week. Meanwhile, Manchester United returned to Old Trafford after one of the great European away nights last week, holding a 3-goal first leg advantage of Athletic Club in the Europa League semi-finals. Chelsea bidding become the first club to win each of the UEFA's majors competitions, welcoming Djurgården of Sweden for the second leg of the UEFA Conference League semi-final at the floodlit Stamford Bridge. All right, and I just fall to remember my colleague Martin CG last Friday noted that Arsenal has a new supporter, and probably that will be the beginning of their end. No, his words, not mine. But what can I say? We wait for Manchester to see if we are going to move in the way that we all hope for, because Manchester is not Arsenal, I must say. My name is Emmanuel Kutosi, and in sign language interpretation, we were joined by Sami Okello, who has been with us, sailing us through these important broadcasts. We celebrate particularly with the Catholic Church, even in the election of the new pontiff, as they move on a new trajectory, filled with hope, filled with faith. And also, we also look into the matters concerning our Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which is currently being formulated, and also what will transpire, particularly within the National Assembly. Be sure to follow on those stories right here on KUTV. To the whole crew that was involved in the production of this broadcast, from the very, very vibrant young journalists who have been up and about to try and collect these reports just for you. It's a great bravo to them, and also the team behind me, which is quite a vast team led by Brenda, Levis, even Lucy there on the social media, and also there's a lead on the playout whose name, unfortunately, Neema, that's the name, but the grace is just there. Someone who we appreciate very greatly. We actually appreciate the whole team within the KUTV. Of course, this is the home of the most bright talents within the Kenyan media industry. Go wherever, anywhere, you will find KUTV alumni. From me and the whole crew, it's a good night to you. See you another time.